Good evening and welcome to the February 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting. In the event of an emergency, the stairway that probably everybody came down to my right, the audience left, would lead to the rear parking lot. In the event that that were blocked, straight down the hallway and out would bring you to the firehouse or up the stairs behind the wall with the clock on it through the double doors. Will put you out in front of the building. With that said, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I think last month I started on my left. I'll start on that side tonight. I'm pretty sure I did.
PJ Shanley.
And Denny, Secretary to the Board.
Owen Weaver, Town Council.
Good evening, John Carangelo.
Bill Kraut.
Mitch Goldblatt.
Okay. Public participation. Public participation is for any item that is not an agenda item. We allow 2 minutes per speaker.
Thank you all. I'm Robert Lim, 956 Corncob Lane, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Marissa and Tina Russo of CERT. So CERT are our community emergency response team here in Orange. We're a completely volunteer organization of about 40 people. You may recognize us from our yellow shirts, our bright yellow shirts at the country fairs, at the carnival, helping out during parades and so forth. We're really here to assist our public safety officers and first responders in situations where they could just use more hands. So in addition to those kinds of things, we also are prepared for more crisis emergency situations. So we run the town shelter in High Plains if there's like a big power outage and we determine it's time to open it up. I believe we helped with the COVID clinic and even with a missing person search, which thankfully turned out with a happy ending. So I'm here today to announce that we are now taking applications for our spring training. And this is the training that we ask every volunteer to go through to be part of CERT. So you'll learn kind of basic response skills relating to fire and safety, light search and rescue, community disaster support, and medical operations. So all the things you'd need to do to be able to help. And there's lots of skills that come in handy. Like I learned how to tell when you need to replace your fire extinguisher, the best place to put your fire extinguisher. So there's lots of helpful tips that I find useful in my daily life. So if you're interested, you want to learn more, sign up, you can go to our new page on the town website. You can just search for CERT. It's C-E-R-T, like the breath mints you may remember from some time back, not to date myself. But all are welcome. The last training class was 2 years ago, and we had people like in their 30s up into their 80s. All are welcome. All can participate. We'll find something for you to do. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. The training?
The class, when does it start?
We're still figuring out the schedule, but we think sometime in March. Yeah.
And is that the only way to get the information on it is through the town website? Or is there,
Yes.
you don't have, okay.
Yeah, no, we're working on getting like a fancy domain like some
I know that's
people
your
have. Yeah, exactly. But all the information's there if you have any questions, and we'll, thank you.
All right, excellent. Public participation? No? Table?
Just want to make sure people know that April 11th is the Orange Recycling Committee's shredding day. Because it's the spring, we're also going to be partnering with the hazmat collection from the Water Authority. So we'll have that behind High Plains. In front of High Plains, we'll have the shredding, the mattresses. We're working with the Orange Community Women, as well as the Buy Nothing Orange group for taking in collections of both clothing and small toys and small appliances and things like that. So we'll have a very busy day, and hopefully we'll have a new electronic recycler that's going to help us out with electronic recycling at that event too. So that's where we're at. Just want to make sure people on the calendars, the April 11th is the shredding day. Thanks.
Is the hazmat thing pre-register? It has been in the past.
Yeah, they haven't opened it yet.
Okay, all right.
They probably won't open that until sometime in March. But good point, Jim. They don't require it, but they do strongly recommend
It
that people go online when the time is, hopefully the next meeting I'll be able to announce that when it is open up for people to register online for the hazmat, so they have an idea of what they're bringing in. Thanks.
Okay. As far as, you brought, anybody else at the table? As far as the electronics, item number, what is it? Recycling 3. It's going to be tabled till next month because Bob is waiting to hear back from them because after the attorney worked on their contract a little bit, the agreement, they hadn't gotten, I don't know, they didn't get back to you after we spoke today, did they?
I spoke with our contact, but she had to send it up to higher people in the.
All right, so it'll be, go ahead.
If I can comment on that, just, I was hoping it would get passed today for several reasons, but not the least of which is because they have agreed to, and it's in our packet, at least also, that they are willing to work with us on helping us at our collection days, doing collection of electronics at no charge to the residents. And we have charged people in the past because it cost us
Yeah.
to get rid of it. With a new company, if we wait till next month, it's going to be very late getting out any publicity on that. Is there any way we can?
It's going to happen,
But
but
is there any, let me ask this, Jim. Is there any way we can pass it contingent upon everyone getting things done, possibly? And then if it's done, we'll know. If it's not, we'll just wait until the next meeting.
I'll defer to Owen on that one.
Yeah, you could, in the motion, make it contingent upon the parties coming to an amicable agreement. I don't have my write-up here on the contract. I will say they had some significant typos that had to be corrected and some other provisions, but
I mean, I trust you to work out the legalese, if that's what it is. I mean, if there's a problem with the concept, then we probably shouldn't pass it. But if there's no problem with the concept, and it's just getting the
No,
i's
not-
and t's taken care of, I would hope that we could pass something, if the, you know, obviously we're getting ahead of ourselves. If the board will agree to the concept tonight, that way hopefully it gets worked out in the next couple of weeks. We don't have to bring it back, and then we can start publicizing, hopefully, that not only will they take things at the transfer station, but really help out people
At
at
your other event.
the other event, yeah.
If the board so agrees to that, we can do that. Is
Yes.
that allowable?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Owen. Thanks, Jim.
You're jumping the gun here. I didn't even get to say it yet. Okay, nobody else, so then I have not too many things. Unfortunately, we lost 3 people that I'm aware of since we last met. Helen Cozile, who I don't know how many of you knew Helen. She was a fixture. They had the car parade for Helen every year. She just passed away. She was 108, and she was an outstanding individual and really a great lady and sharp as a tack, yeah, to 108. So she lived with her daughter Barbara Schmidt down near the lake, and unfortunately, her time had come. And Bob Drobish, Bob Drobish was another great involved person, whether it was the Lions, the players, and so many other things that he was involved with. And Bob's time came also. And I think it said he was 90. And then Jimmy Dallas, the last one, Jimmy Dallas was born here in town over on Dogburn Lane. And he was 95. He was living down in, I think in Bella Vista maybe last. And then he took a fall and he was in a home, a facility somewhere. And unfortunately, he passed. He worked for our Public Works Department for his career. And so we lost 3 fixtures of the community that all offered many different values to us. And so it's a shame, but, 108, 90, and 95, those are all pretty good runs, yes. Monday, February 16th, All town offices will be closed in observance of President's Day. However, the transfer station is open. Salt shortage, I don't know, it's been in the news, I've seen it on TV and all. Salt for the roads is in short supply at the moment. Supposedly a ship came in this past week, and another one they're waiting for. Our shed was full, but those first two big storms have really consumed our salt. We have a standing order, and Don called on that order on January 15th or 16th, and they told him, well, maybe by March. And so pray for very little to no ice between now and then. But we still have enough to get us by, but there is a shortage out there, and he has it calculated out for this coming year that the shed will be filled again. So, it's doing the best we can with that, but some spots might not always get salted up to the point where everybody's used to, I guess. The budget is under formulation, both of the schools, the elementary and Amity, and the town budget. The Board of Finance met here all day out this past Friday, and so those budgets are coming to be. People have asked about some of the development, we'll get to that at the end, though. Fireworks and concert. Our Friday, July 3rd is supposed to be our fireworks and concert, and the rain date is Sunday, July 5th. Band to be determined yet. We're still searching for a couple different ones we kind of thought would be good for that. This one also will have a little more linked into it because of the national 250th, just so everybody's aware. A lot of people don't know that a young man who spent a large part of his youth here in Orange, Tage Thompson, quite a hockey player. Actually, his family rented from Matt and Mary Shaw, and they lived on Arnold Lane for a bit of time, quite a bit of time, actually. Tage is part of the U.S. Olympic team playing hockey, and we wish them all well in luck, and hopefully they'll get new gold medals that don't break. Party City, the owners of that building were in. They're going to split it into 3 units in there. There'll be 2 2,000-square-foot units and 2 4,000-square-foot units. People have been asking about these things because they see it. So the Fields brothers, Leo Fields, Saul and Leo Fields, and Leo's son Stephen, they're working on that. And so if you see activity there at Party City, that's what's going on. It's being made into smaller retail spaces. We met with Matt Demore and the people from, whose the family owns Big Y, and the people from Brixmore, and they're moving ahead with that. And I have seen surveyors and engineers out over at the Christmas tree, or they call it Colonial Commons now, over there. And once they get their engineering all able to submit all their plans, blueprints, and everything, he said it's about 10 months from the time they start to the time they open. So they're hoping that they'll be early 27 if everything goes well. But I mean, some of the things they're planning, when I said, well, you have to trench the floor and all in there for all your different electrical and refrigeration. Oh, no, we're just taking the whole floor out. It's like, that's 58,000 square feet. So we'll just take it all out. I said, okay. So those are the things we met with. Actually, very interesting. When I was searching for some different funding sources, the USDA, under their rural development, had a very interesting funding source. So we met with representatives that represent Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. They came down from Amherst last Thursday, I think it was. Thursday or Friday, Thursday, I think it was. So we met with them about some funding sources, possibilities for Ms. Higgins repairs. So we're kind of slowly formulating that. It actually was really kind of exciting because they're like, are you sure that's all you need? Are you sure? I mean, I was talking like $4 million, and they're like, you sure that's all you need? Put more on the list. I'm like, so, well, there's a lot to it to do it, but it's very interesting. So that's a possibility that way, as opposed to floating a bond for it, and it would be a 40-year as opposed to a 20-year. So it really breaks down those payments and spreads it out over a good period of time. So those are all the announcements I have for tonight, and I don't think I missed anything. So with that said, minutes. To consider and act upon the minutes of the January 14th meeting. Is there any errors, omissions, or corrections? If not, if so, page and paragraph. If not, is there a motion?
Motion approve.
Okay, you did good, Ann. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. Item number 1 under new business is to consider and act on the request to hang the banner to promote the Strawberry Festival being held June 13th, 2026 this year, and to waive the customary rental fees for the use of the High Plains Community Center areas that they use. Mr.
I'm Bob Sigler, volunteer member of the Orange Congregational Church and co-chair of our Strawberry Festival event, as First Selectman mentioned, June 13th this year, 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock. We'll have our usual strawberry treats, as always. We're praying for good weather, because that's the business we're in. And hopefully, with the good weather, the red cars will come back. But we've got everything starting, planning, organizing. In fact, from here, I go next door to our annual, or our monthly meeting at this point to go over all the details. So as mentioned, we normally hang our banner to advertise the festival a few weeks before, right after Memorial Day, I believe. And if we can, as we have in the past, waive the fees for the kitchen that we use, that would be great. Any questions?
No questions. Motion to approve.
There you go. All in
Thank you very
favor?
much. I hope to see everyone
Opposed?
there.
Abstain, unanimous. I forgot to tell you guys, the young lady sitting in front with the laptop is Hannah Graham, who is a student at Southern. She's a aspiring journalism person, and she is here following our meeting tonight, just so you're all aware if you're wondering who that is. Item number 2, to consider and act on the request to enter into agreement with United Illuminating for replacing the Boston Post Road ornamental streetlights. Mr. Britton is here, and I have it too. This is for the green lights that were put up, how many years ago? 25 years ago. Quite a few of them have broken in the weather or broken by motor vehicle accidents. The parts in some of them are not replaced or repairable. And they're, as part of the, believe it or not, the road widening of the next phase, the center turn lane thing, they came to Bob and said, geez, a lot of those lights are out, and there's a bunch of them in the next phase we're gonna be working on. Would you like to replace them? So Bob came and he's like, what do you want to do? And I said, well, what's it gonna cost us? No, if UI does it under their program, it's not gonna cost us other than our normal monthly fee that we pay for it like a street light. So I said, sounds good. However, that fixture is no longer available. They have this different figure, which you see in the write-up here. And so they're gonna do, if we approve it, they would do the part that's already had its center turn lane work done, and then the other part will be done as they move forward with that center turn lane. As part of this center turn lane project too, and part of the previous one, and I think they might have worked it into this part coming, I asked for sidewalks, and I'm not sure if they ever, they are putting it in this phase. I asked for it in the last phase too, but didn't get it. So you're gonna get it. So I've asked for that, and I've asked for bus shelters in a couple different locations also, but that's yet to be seen. I asked for one in front of Chase Bank, a new one in front of where, what's the coffee shop down there? Starbucks, and a couple other spots. So we'll see what they actually come up with. But did you have questions on this? Yes, Mitch?
Yeah, this is actually very exciting news. We had put together, like I said, probably about 25 years ago, to 2007? Right. Put together the the Post Road Improvement Committee at the time. And one of the things we tried to do was to distinguish the area of the Post Road that was in the town of Orange. And after a lot of discussion, those green lights, the green fixtures, were determined to be unique, and they were, UI had the fixtures. We just had to purchase them through them. We had businesses contribute. They all had the post on the side, so we could actually put up banners, which was done for some time, and then the businesses either decided they didn't want to do it anymore, or it just wasn't continued for whatever reason. However, you're right, Jim, some of them have been hit by vehicles, others that just weren't working. They did replace the old, what they call the Cobra lights, which were very non-ornamental at all and gave us no distinguishing marks. So this will be nice to replace these, and maybe this time around there'll be some merchants that do want to expand it in front of their stores, as we tried
Possibly.
to do as well. So
That's on Anne Marie, that part.
yeah. So anyway, I wholeheartedly
said, are you
endorse
making a
this.
motion?
Make a motion to approve the proposal before us for UI agreement for Boston Post Road ornamental streetlights.
Okay. Motion's made and seconded. Yeah, I was excited by it because a lot of them are not functional anymore. Yeah. So.
And we're gonna
okay.
save $10,000.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Staying unanimous.
Did they give you any indication when they're gonna start with the widening project?
No, they were planning that back in
Right.
'05, 2000. I mean, it's a kind of a push me, I'm coming with the state. But at least they're there. I don't know what they're gonna do. They're supposed to be working from Milford towards us and us towards Milford to meet at Peck Lane approximately. And, I don't know what they're gonna do, because parts of Milford are already done down towards the mall. Parts of it are, well, if you come up just a little bit further by, Milford Jeep, Acura, up there, it isn't, and the road is so wide already, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but that's their challenge, not mine. Okay, so now this one, Bob, this one you might want to come up to speak to, I'm not sure, because you're the one working on it. This is the one for, to consider an act on request to enter into an agreement with Take-Two Recycling, for electronic recycling at the transfer station, and you heard Mitch talking, they're gonna be at the Recycle Day, also, but there's a holdup with the contract, so I'll leave it to Bob and Owen to do it, and if it's okay and the board wants to approve it with some sort of contingency, we're good with that.
Yeah, it turns out
You're up.
that the main difference, I guess, is that they're offering us more money for the covered electronic devices, mostly computers, TVs, printers, things like that. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money. It's going to be in the hundreds of dollars a year. Basically, they just come to take the stuff out of the Eagle leasing container and take it away to recycle. I guess they're offering some things like going to events that the other vendor didn't do. So, not a huge change. But as for Selectman Zioli said, there were some markups from the town attorney, and we haven't heard any officially back from the vendor on whether they accept all of them or not.
I didn't ask, I should have asked the internet, Mitch might know, how many tons do you? Yeah, I didn't ask, I didn't know if internet tracked that either. But I mean, that container, body, box, it's full probably every couple weeks, that thing is full of all kinds, whether it be computers or, seems to be the big fish is flat screen TVs. I don't know what the longevity is of flat screen TVs, but it seems to be a lot of them go in that container. Either that or it was people who lost in the Super Bowl bet. You know, there'll be a few in there this week. But, yeah, so then if you want to make it contingent, Owen, and speak to it, how you want to cover that?
Yeah, if the board's inclined, they can make a motion to pass it contingent upon the first selectman's office coming to a finalized agreement with Take Two. Again, on my earlier comments, I didn't really have many substantive comments. There were some typos and just some things that I felt needed clarity, but like the concept, and there's no legal problem with the concept, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to that effect, that we do approve the contract, the agreement, as it called, with electronics recycling with Take Two. And I'd like to speak to it for a minute also. Through Bob, he had met with people from Take Two, and they were actually interested in meeting with the Orange Recycling Committee. And they came to our last meeting, two people, Camilla Sosa, who's our main contact, as well as Ron McIntyre, who was in from Rochester, New York, who's part of E-Waste, which I think is
That's the bigger company.
the company that's taking over Take Two or whatever. But they both came, made a great presentation. I'll read just a little bit of my email to Bob on behalf of the committee. I said the committee was very impressed and happy they would not only help us publicize the electronics recycling, but also potentially participate in our shredding day by collecting items there as well. The Orange Recycling Committee voted to recommend that the town provide Take Two an opportunity to become our electronics and battery and bulb collector vendor. And so we wrote that to Bob, and I was really pleased to see this be part of our agenda this evening. And just to reiterate, it's the televisions, the monitors, computers, and printers, we get 8 cents a pound through Take Two. We've only been getting 3 cents a pound through the current vendor. They will take all the other non-covered devices at no charge. So all their electronic devices, including but not limited to phones, peripherals, stereo equipment, video game machines, DVD players, other electronic devices. And they will put up, upon request, which I'm sure we will request, to collect universal waste lamps, basically bulbs, and batteries. And at the last meeting, I mentioned Bob had talked to the current vendor, and their idea of putting up an area for bulbs and batteries was to put a 5-gallon bucket for batteries and a long cardboard box for the fluorescent tubes, which if you put the second one in, the first one's going to break. I was not happy when I saw that. And then we talked to Take Two, and they've got much better containers for these things. And then, as I said, they also agreed to not only help us publicize electronic recycling at the transfer station with their own signage, but also to help us with our shredding event, which also then we'd be able to collect batteries and bulbs there as well as it was mostly the electronic devices there at no charge to our residents, whereas before we had to pay for them because we were paying a vendor to destroy them. So we're excited about this, and I hope the board will approve it. Thank you.
There's only one piece to it so they made arrangements for this, and they had a tote of some sort there for the fluorescent bulbs, and they brought a kind of a small recycle garbage pail like what you have at your house for recyclables. And somebody liked it so much, they dumped the batteries that were in on top of the fluorescent bulbs and stole the garbage pail. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, they stole the garbage barrel. I said, so get a recycle bin from up there and put it there. Yeah, somebody actually dumped the batteries out and stole the barrel. That takes all kinds, I'll tell you, to do that, but
Well done.
it happened. Okay, with that said and with that contingent,
Yeah, so Mitch indicated that he wanted to approve it just the way it is, but I don't. Okay, as long as you rephrase your earlier.
I was
I
making
just
a
wanna
motion
make sure.
as Owen had phrased it, was I was trying
Fine,
to say.
I just, again, I wanted to make sure that's in there.
Absolutely,
'cause-
John.
okay, Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
with that agreed, was there a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. What? I don't know. No, they do that at no charge, don't they? The batteries and bulbs? Yeah, they just get rid of them. Yeah. Okay. The next one is the veterans exemptions. You have a stack of paper there to consider and act on veterans exemptions. There's been some a little bit of confusion and all, and so Mark put this together, and you have quite a bit there of what it is. However, some people that were asking, and maybe some of you people were asked too, they thought that the veterans didn't get any exemptions at this time, and that's not the case. This is, with the way the legislation is written, this is for people that are listed as 100% disabled by the VA, and we already do their residential home. So what this is it's kind of, I'll call it an addendum to it. This is actually for their property, the dirt, I'll call it, around their home is the easiest way. And we did have prior the gross amount of it, but I didn't know exactly how much the dollar impact would be, which, number one, I thought you should have. And you'll have multiple other pages there with Mark's legislative research and all. Now, there is other discussions in Hartford on this, both to expand it on one side for other veterans, and also there's some legislation they're trying to push forward where the towns would be potentially reimbursed for these exemptions that the town grants. But at this point, that's all nowhere at this point. And quite honestly, all of us here know how those reimbursements end up going with the state. They start out great the first year. The second year, they end up maybe 2/3, 1/3, and then no thirds. But that doesn't really enter into this, but, so I just want to let you know, there is legislation in the talking stages in Hartford at this point in time. But what you're voting on tonight is the list that's page 2 of what we have there is what it is, and Mark summed it up pretty much. So that's what we have, and that's the list of people. Now, I was asked one question today, which I thought I knew the answer if it was the same as our senior tax exemption, but I'm not sure, so I have to look at this a little bit and do a little research on one, but it won't affect what we vote on tonight, one way or another, really. Any questions? You two are looking at each other. One of you talk.
Always got questions.
So, first thing is, I'm glad that we're doing this. I think we need to help our veterans as much as we can. One of my questions was about spousal continuation. So, if the veteran was to predecease their spouse, what happens in that circumstance?
Right, so under the current legislation, and this, the Public Act doesn't change it, if a veteran predeceases the surviving spouse, so long as the spouse doesn't remarry and stays in the house, will be entitled to the exemption. And as the same for any children of the deceased veteran up and until they reach the age of majority, 18. So if the spouse moves or remarries, the exemption goes away.
Okay. And then,
So the current, as Jim denoted, the way the act applies now, it's just to the dwelling.
correct.
The proposal by the tax assessor is to adopt Section E, which allows for an exemption up to 2 acres. So that would apply for the spouse as well. It wouldn't just stay with the dwelling, it's the 2 acres.
Correct. And I understand that these are already in place. I just wanted clarification because
Yep.
I wasn't sure. And
Now, there was an
It wasn't in
interesting
here.
question posed also, and under our senior tax stabilization plan, if somebody has their home in a trust, they don't qualify because the trust actually owns the property. How about with this? I don't know that answer that was asked of me is regarding if they
Right.
had their property in a trust.
No, the property can be held in trust. It has to be, if it's held in trust, it has to be, well, I'll give you the exact language. I have it here, one second. It has to belong to or is held in trust for any resident of the state who has served in various military services. So it can be held in trust, but it has to be for the spouse or the veteran. you know, if you had a third party holding it and it didn't have any sort of language that said it's for the benefit of this individual, or, you know, the veteran or the spouse could have a life, a life estate in the property. So this statute is more forgiving in terms of how ownership is held of the property. So it
So
would be
they could
different.
have it a trust.
Yes,
As long
yes.
as it's properly done, it's not held by a third party. It's held a trust that they're the beneficiary of.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. That answers that question.
Yep, thank you.
Just to follow up to that.
Yep.
So, a lot of clients, and I think you just said this, Owen, but I just want to verify. So people who quit claim properties with retaining a life use,
Yeah.
if they're a veteran, they're also qualified under this existing
Yeah,
language.
if they meet the other criteria, yes.
Right, and that sort of dovetails into my next question. It talks about an individual who is permanently and totally disabled
Yeah.
via the Veterans Administration. And maybe I missed it, but I don't think I saw the definition of that. But, you know, is there a specific definition to
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
This exemption only applies to a veteran who is determined to be permanently and totally disabled on the VA's service-connected disability rating schedule. The VA has two ways to determine if a veteran qualifies as permanently and totally disabled. One is the schedule, the other is under their regulations in terms of if the VA determines that the veteran cannot be employed going forward. This statute, 128183, is only with respect to the schedule. I won't, it'll take me too long, but the legislature tried to change that last year, and they did some other things this year, but this particular one is just with respect to the schedule.
Okay. But the VA dictates to us.
100%, yes.
100%.
So we don't have, so,
No.
Yeah,
okay.
there's no discretion there.
Fine.
The veteran has to, there's a letter that's checked off and explains
Okay.
that they have to produce to the assessor.
Fair enough. All right, thank you.
Mitch?
A couple of my questions have already been answered, but addressing, I guess, to Owen and or to Jim, just to clarify. So right now, under the current mill rate, the cost of this is about $104,000, and we're looking tonight, under the current mill rate, which obviously will change one way or the other when we're done with
An additional 90,000.
90,000.
Yes.
So
Right.
90,000.
So you'd be almost 200,000
Yep.
you're taking out of the tax rolls.
Thank you. And I was, and there's no, is there any provision for any kind of income limits or value of home limits at all in this legislation, or it doesn't matter as long as it's on 2 acres?
Not for this one. There's a slew of veterans exemptions, some of which have an income cap.
Yep.
This one just pertains to totally and permanently disabled
Okay.
under the VA schedule.
Okay.
And if you look at the one at the bottom of the first page, Mitch,
Yep.
I mean, you see the value differences from the top to the bottom.
Yep.
Mixed in there, so it's wide open.
But that one also doesn't have any land attached to it.
No, it has
Right?
an asterisk
Yeah.
next to it there, yeah.
Interesting.
But still, there's no land to it, but.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
it's-
Okay.
It's a lot more than any 2 or 3 of the others.
Okay. So I agree with PJ's opening statement that I agree that I'm glad this has come forward to us, and I'm glad we've gotten the information that we've been seeking for some time, and so my guess is that if we pass this, it's effective with the next tax year's bills. Is that how it would be, Owen?
No, it starts with this grand list.
This grand list, which would be
Well,
next
The
July.
The 10/1/25 grand list, so
Yeah.
it's,
Right, which would be the
Which will start
Yes.
July 1.
July 1,
26.
26.
yes, sorry, yeah.
Thank you. Need a motion, or any questions?
Any other questions? Questions, audience? I didn't ask audience. You have nothing?
I'd like to add something to that.
Well,
So
come on up. Name for the record and then whatever
Aaron
you want.
Smith, 220 Wilson Road. So to your question about the monetary, right, the earnability. So as a veteran, you fall under, there's three categories. So you can be 100% through the VA, but not 100% total or permanent in total. So what that means is every 3 to 5 years, you're reevaluated, and they can reduce your rating, or they can move you up to the next stature. So as a veteran, you can be permanent in total. Also, to your point, individual unemployability is another way that they do it. Can't have meaningful work, but you're able to work enough. It's like an SSI, so you can work enough and they give you a little bit. As it relates to the threshold of your earnability, your permanent and total rating does not change. What that effectively means is that up to a certain amount of money, you in essence get a pension from the federal government. After you reach that threshold, you still receive those medical benefits and everything else, but your monetary is reduced. So you don't lose your protections as a P&T based off of how much you make. You just lose the monetary benefit, or I guess if you want to call it a benefit, but you lose that monetary stipend from the federal government. It could be reduced. That's to that point.
That's the piece you kind of called pensioning.
Well, it goes from a benefit to a pension because it stays with you until they throw
To
dirt
you
on you.
forever.
Yes. The thing is, it
But you
doesn't.
still have the 100% qualification, which is the only thing that we go by, that the assessor.
100% P&T. You can be 100% and not qualify for certain programs because you're not considered permanent in total. It's two different things.
Right, yeah.
So when you get the letter, when veterans submit their letter to the tax assessor, it is directly off the website and it will tell you permanent in total. It can say 100%, but then it would articulate whether you're 100% or you're 100% permanent in total.
Right.
Two different distinctions.
So which one gets
Permanent in total only.
P and T?
Permanent and totally only.
That's the one that, okay.
That is it.
All right. Thank you for that. Anybody else? No? Yes, ma'am. Name for the record, then whatever you want.
Okay. Brittany Smith, 220 Wilson Road, Aaron's wife. I just had a few words I want to say. First, I'd like to thank the board for taking this matter seriously and placing the exemption expansion on the agenda so quickly. It's greatly appreciated. I'm here to express my strong support for adopting and expanding the exemption. While the policy may affect a small percentage of town residents, the impact for these veterans and their families is significant. Many are on fixed incomes, and providing meaningful tax relief is a tangible way for our community to recognize the sacrifices they have made. Most importantly, this decision reflects who we are as a community. Supporting disabled veterans is not a political issue, it is a shared value. It demonstrates respect, gratitude, and a commitment to taking care of those who have sacrificed for our freedoms. I respectfully encourage the board to expand this exemption and continue Orange's strong tradition of supporting our veterans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I can't believe you're not getting up, quite honestly. You're the one who started this.
Well, I didn't have any questions. So
No, that's all right.
My name is Gertie Carr. I live at 555 Dogwood Road. I
Started this.
guess so. Yeah, Aaron's been working on it too. He's kept his ear to the ground about it. I obviously support this, not just for myself and my family, but for all veterans in town who are 100% permanently and totally disabled. You know, when you join the military, you go in one person, you experience a lot, and you come out a different person. And, sorry.
Breathe.
So when you come out, the way you come out after joining the military and experiencing all that you have, it just adds a lot of stress to your life. And when the VA says that you are considered 100% P&T, they make that decision that you qualify. And you know, life just can be super stressful, as it is. So adding this exemption for our veterans would just ease the pain a little bit. And so I appreciate you bringing this to the agenda, and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none. Anything at the board? Seeing none. Motion.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to expand the exemption to the second, I'm going to call it the second half of the exemption as allowed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. Done. Okay. Number 5 is to consider and act on dates for the annual town meeting and budget referendum. You have that paper in front of you. The dates that have been formulated, the Board of Finance budget hearing, Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, not 25, 7 PM at High Plains Community Center. The Board of Selectmen meeting, which is the annual town meeting, the May meeting, May of 2026, will be Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, and it is suggested to hold this meeting in the High Plains Gym, followed by the annual town meeting at 7:30, and the referendum, which must be held no less than 7 and no more than 14 days after the town meeting. Suggested date for the referendum is Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. I guess I will read the bottom part here, since it's already on here. The Board of Education regular meeting for Amity. Public hearing will be Monday, April 6th at 6 p.m. The Board of Education annual district meeting, which is at the high school, I believe, is Monday, May 4th at 5:30 p.m. And Amity's referendum is Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And for voting in the town of Orange, it all happens at High Plains Community Center, and I think all in the gymnasium for both of these. I'm getting the nod. So with all that said, is there a motion to approve there? I get nervous. Camera started.
Motion approved.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Item number 6, to consider and act on the request to approve tax refunds totaling $4,130.55. I don't think any of us were on this list, as I noticed. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I think it probably is, yeah. Yeah, the tax office there, it's not always a popular office, but they do a really good job up there. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Well done. The next one is to move to public hearing for next month. Item number 7, to consider and act on the volunteer fire department lease and option agreement to send to public hearing at the March Board of Selectmen meeting. We've done this before when they're buying a truck. This is for the 100-foot platform aerial truck, which has a book value currently, I think they said it's about $2.3 million. It's in here, yeah. Did they drop it? Okay, so they got a little, they've shaved it some. But, so this is gonna be for a public hearing for next month. So we need a motion to send that to hearing.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Last item on here was discussion of policy for electronic mail communications by board members. This was asked of me to get, this is the OBOE's policy, as best I understand it. And so I was asked to get this and distribute it for all of you. As the amount of emails have increased, they felt that it maybe should be addressed. So with that, any of you that would like to open the door on this one?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's long overdue. I think this board needs to have a uniform response to emails, so that we understand what our role is as far as being responsive and polite to our residents who are inquiring about certain things. Obviously, there's been some concern, at least while I've been a board member, of having conversations with residents when there's a pending agenda item, when there's a public hearing. So I think this board needs to act. There's no question that we've probably all individually responded to somebody at one point in time, thinking that you're doing the right thing by responding to a constituent, when in fact we could be doing something inappropriate. And, you know, we need to act. Enough's enough. We need to all come together and say, hey, if we receive an email, there should be a joint response to whomever is responding to us or inquiring from us. If it's a pending agenda item, I think the response needs to be uniform. Come to the Board of Selectmen and voice your opinion. If it's a public hearing, you need to wait for public participation. And again, if I'm saying anything inappropriate in my comments, I ask the town attorney to join in because I don't know all the rules as well as I should. And I want to be educated and I want to be appropriate and responsive to the people who elected me in this position. I certainly don't want the public to think that I'm not doing anything appropriate by not responding quick enough. I mean, let's face it, we're in a society where email and texts are predominant. And that's how my office is as a lawyer. And it's very difficult to be responsive when the public wants you to be that quick to respond to, when sometimes you can't just respond. You need to be uniform and appropriate and follow the rules. So I read this, I think this is a great way, shall I say, a map. I sound joking, like it's the map of the Fred Wolf Park, right? We have a map of a plan sometime in the future. This is a map of how we can identify and respond appropriately as a group. So that's my 2 cents on this, so I sort of.
And I agree, John.
Yeah.
And actually, PJ and I were talking before, and he brought up a point, and I aired today. We had an email from another veteran's wife, and I did respond, you know, that we would be acting on what we acted on tonight. They don't qualify at this time for the exemption, but she was supporting it and urging other veterans programs if possible. And when I responded to it, I told her what it was, and I said, I'm sure that I and the Board of Selectmen, you know, support this, what we were doing. And then PJ and I talked about it, and I really, if I said that we would be, you know, looking at it, considering it something, but you can't say that the board all support this, because I don't have that answer, and it could cause a bump, I'll call it, for discussion.
Well,
So-
what we can't have is email communications, because then that, I believe, Owen, right, constitutes an unofficial meeting.
Right.
If we all start responding to an email in agreement or disagreement.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had my way, none of you would have emails. But that's not practical. But
Second.
Right.
All in favor?
Correct. You can't have a group chat, so to speak, in emails. That would be a violation of FOIA, as you're indicating, PJ.
Well, does that affect, like now a lot of the distributions we get have all of us on it, plus other people that it may involve, you know, whether it might be, I'm gonna use Bob Britton because I'm looking at him. So you might have a whole group of all the selectmen, Ian as the secretary, possibly you as counsel, and possibly the department head that's involved.
Right.
With that, so that then it kind of opens that door to creating that, as PJ said, creating a meeting really, whether for or against, doesn't matter.
Right.
You're opening the door to creating a meeting just by doing that.
Right. So I think there's two issues. There's one, the FOIA issue that we were just discussing. The second issue is, you know, who can speak for the board. I would say in the abstract that none of you individually can speak for the board when a email, you know, a hypothetical email comes in concerning board business. or a matter that the town that would ultimately come to this board.
To vote on, act on.
This board is an agent of the town meeting. You guys are agents of this board. You don't have individual rights, so to speak, separate and apart from your collective powers as the Board of Selectmen. So in an ideal world, in my recommendation, if an email comes in that is either has everyone copied, or an email comes into an individual or a couple of you that concerns all of you, everyone should be brought to that attention, and then that individual should be directed to participate in a public meeting, so that you and the public have a chance to weigh in on the issue. There's a caveat. I think if an email comes in that is clearly directed to a particular department or should be directed to a department, the first selectman, as the supervisor of most departments in town, can answer that email or can refer it to the department head. But just to be clear, the first selectman in that first category also does not have the authority to speak for this board. He's one of equals here under the charter provisions. So there's that dichotomy. Something that's more directed towards a department, that can be responded to or forwarded to the appropriate town employee. An email concerning town business that this board might act on or have a discussion on, I think, is best for this forum right here in Town Hall, so.
So, Owen, if I may, so, there's lots of times that the residents reach out to you and they preface an email by saying, this is a personal email and has nothing to do with politics. And in a situation like that, I mean, it's appropriate, I think, that you can respond to them individually with the caveat that you're making sure that it has nothing to do with politics and it's personal in nature. On the flip side, if they follow up and they dive into, I'm a constituent, or I'm, someone where they then make it political, or a board issue, then at that point, it would be appropriate to circulate that email to the rest of the board and say, direct your attention to the board, right? I mean, because if someone's reaching out to you and just say, hey, how you doing? Versus, hey, I'm reaching out to you because you're a constituent, I'm a constituent of yours, and I want to know about X, Y, and Z. That's two completely different things, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, when you say politics, are you talking about town business?
Town
or-
business. I'm not talking
Okay.
about, because this board doesn't care about Republican and Democrats. We do what's in the best interest of the town, and that's
Right.
why we're elected officials,
Right,
right?
I mean, a political dialogue would be outside the auspice of this
Yeah.
board.
Okay.
I mean, you guys don't give up your rights to speak as private citizens merely because you were elected, so you can have your offline conversations, so
Okay.
to speak.
But it is important to ask that question, right? To someone that may randomly send you an email,
Right.
right?
Sure.
You need to follow up with them. And, I mean, and listen, I know I'm guilty of it, and I've been doing this too long. I'm sure I've made a mistake here and there. But I think that we need to act as a board. So if an email comes in and it's an inquiry about what we're doing, we share with each other, because we want to make sure we're all apprised of what that concern is from that resident. On the flip side, and you need to educate me on this, I think I know the answer, but if we're in an email with you, are you not our town council? And is not,
Well, I'm the town attorney, I'm not your individual attorney, but
so that,
yes.
but, okay, but is there no privilege?
The privilege likely, I mean, we're talking an abstract here.
Yes, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
if-
asking.
If you guys include me and you have a conversation, the privilege, if you're soliciting my advice, just copying me on an email, let me give an example. The email that goes out to say, here's the agenda, that's
Yeah.
not a privileged document just because I'm on it. But if it concerns a town matter and you're providing me with information that will ultimately be used to render a legal opinion, or you're asking me for a legal
Good,
opinion,
okay.
then yes, that would be privileged.
Well, I think that's very helpful, thank you.
Mitch?
John, I'm a bit confused on what you're asking us to do here, because you're talking about a uniform response and sharing with each other. I look at it this way: if we get, or I get, an email from anybody, no matter who's copied on it, I like to respond for two reasons. One is because I feel it's an obligation that I just respond to emails. If somebody emails me, I email them back so they know that their message got through. And typically, if it's a question I can answer, I'll answer it. Most of the time, I'm saying, looking forward to this particular item on the next agenda, if it's on the next agenda or an upcoming meeting, if it's, something that should be addressed by the board.
Can I interrupt
So-
you right there?
Yeah.
Because that is very specific to some of the questions that I had today. What are we supposed to and not supposed to be saying for agenda items? Isn't that
Well,
something
that's,
separate?
I mean, that's a
Like,
very broad question. I mean, an agenda item comes out, you get an answer, or excuse me, you get an email from a constituent that wants to discuss the item. I don't think that there should be email traffic there about it. This board should have that discussion here with the public. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying you can't respond to a constituent's email. You should acknowledge it and say, yeah, it's on the agenda, like that's a factual statement, but like a substantive conversation, I think. Again, none of you can speak for this board. The board speaks for itself through your deliberations and ultimately your vote. But none of you are the charter doesn't prescribe to one of you being the spokesman of the board. It could, but it doesn't.
Well, if I can continue, I mean,
Please, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I'm not, when I respond to a constituent, I'm not saying this is what the board feels, I'm not saying this is what the board will do. I don't know what the board will do till we actually sit here and deliberate and come to a consensus or a vote that decides what we're gonna do. But I think that answering a question, letting the person know that I respect their opinion, sometimes I disagree with them. There was one that came out, we all got one this past week, or past week or two, it was very, in a way, politically charged, but, I didn't agree with some of the things in there, but I responded to that person, saying I appreciated them reaching out to us. Maybe the board will do what you asked the board to do. I can't speak for the entire board. On the flip side, or not a flip side, just another example is the fact that when we had the whole discussion of the cameras, we all got bombarded with a lot of emails, probably more than I've seen many a year. But some of them said, I live off of Route 34, and I really hope you vote this week on cameras on Route 34. And part of my response was to that person or persons was that we will be, this is on the agenda, maybe it was before Jim had published the agenda, but I understand it's supposed to be on our next meeting, but I also understand, that's how I put it, I understand that we will not be voting on specific locations at this time. So I think, sometimes we can help not have people show up here for something that, can swirl in social media, if we can, either correct or direct someone as to what our responsibilities are. I don't think I've ever said to someone, unless it's a no-brainer, that yes, I'm voting yes on this, et cetera, et cetera. I always say I look forward to the discussion on that issue, and we'll see how the board will deliberate and vote. But I still think that two things. One is I'm not sure there's always going to be a uniform response, number one. And number two, I purposely don't copy all, reply all when I do that because I don't want us to get into it. Either somebody could agree with me or disagree with me, but next thing you know, as Owen's already said, now we've got a conversation going about a subject, and now we've created a meeting. And I don't want, and I think,
No, I don't want that.
basic FOI rules are going to say, we don't want to control, and people should understand, and anybody listening to us should understand that we don't deliberate via email. We deliberate at this table. And we don't make decisions as a board before walking into this meeting. We make decisions at this meeting.
So, listen, Mitch, so I agree in part with what you're saying. On a personal level, I certainly want to respond to every single person that emails me. In fact, that's what I was trained to do as a lawyer. Respond to your email within 24 hours. Respond to a phone call within 24 hours. But as a personal lawyer, that's my business as a personal lawyer. I'm acting as a board of selectmen. on behalf of the town of Orange. And it's not me, myself, and I. And candidly, I don't think it's appropriate for you or any one of us to reach out to or respond to a constituent and have a discussion with that constituent without the rest of the board knowing what you discussed. I think it's inappropriate. Candidly, that's my opinion. And listen, you've been on this board a long time, and I respect you because I know that you, like I, serve in the best interest of the town, but I can't disagree with you more. So when I say uniform, I mean we at this table need to respond in the same fashion. If somebody reaches out to us and asks about A, B, and C as it relates to the town of Orange, and I'm saying that in the most generic way, you should immediately reply to all. Because we don't know, and listen, I understand about trying to expedite things and doing things. We all want to do that. But as a board, it's not me, myself, and I. We're a board. And we need to act collectively and uniformly in responding to share with our fellow board members. Because if you're speaking to someone privately and they go up on that podium and they say, "Thank you for talking to me the other day," and I'm like, wait a second. You spoke to him the other day, or you spoke to PJ, or you spoke to Bill, or you spoke to Judy, or you spoke to me the other day? That gives an impression of impropriety. And now, no, I'm talking. I'm not saying that you're doing anything of impropriety, but it gives that inference. We can't have that. We have to collectively, as a board, have an email come in. If it's about town business, come here and talk about it. That's my opinion.
John, we meet once a month, not once a day, not 5 times a week. We get requests, whether it is in person, whether it's at the ball field, at the party, wherever you are, people talk to you about issues of the town. It just so happens this board has taken up some very high-profile issues lately.
Agreed.
Whether it be a veterans exemption or a Fred Wolf Park, or whether it be red light cameras and speed cameras or anything else, or repairs to town buildings. You know, people ask us questions all the time. And so if what's the difference between me talking to somebody on the street as opposed to me sending an email?
Because you're part of the board.
I am part of the board. I'm also an elected official, and I take that very seriously. To
Don't
the fact
disagree
that
that you
I am not going to hide from my constituents and say, "Oh, I can't talk about it. We have to wait till we get to a board meeting." That's a coward's way out, John. It really is. And you know what? If you're offended that somebody gets up at the podium and says that I spoke to Mitch, or I spoke to PJ, I spoke to somebody else about it, oh well, because I'm willing to speak to that person, because I'm willing to respond to that person, whether it's via email, whether it's via telephone, whether it's via text, whether it's by in person, it doesn't matter. That I see as my role as an elected official. Because as an elected official, I respond to the constituents. I work for them, not for you, not even for Jim. At this board, Jim leads the board, absolutely. But outside of this meeting, I'm an elected official, and I am going to respond to the people who reach out to me. I'm not going to put my head in the sand and say, "I can't talk to you about that, come to the meeting." I think that's irresponsible on our part.
Okay. I'm going to ask Bill, since you were on the Board of Education and the chairman for years, and this policy actually comes from the Board of Education, how did you handle this when you were the Board of Education side? I have no idea.
Well, let me first say, this conversation is a clear indication that we need something, because there's disagreement within the board. So the board needs policy so that it's clear to everyone what your responsibilities are and roles are. In a nutshell, what we should do with this document is look at it and tailor it to our needs, which are a little different than would be at the Board of Education. What we did was, if we were approached, or as chair, I was chair for what, I think 16 years or something like that, 14 and a half. I would be approached all the time, and a lot of times I was approached, much like here. Education is an emotional thing.
Topic.
And topic, and parents and that sort of thing. And what every new board member was brought in, and we talked about the policy, and exactly this, email responses, responses at the fair. What do you do? What do you do when an employee approaches you? What do you do when a parent approaches you? Just someone in the community. And what we basically said was, you are a member of the Board of Education. We are members of the Board of Selectmen, all of us. And there's a shared responsibility to each other, communication-wise and whatever else. So someone would come to me and say, blah, 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 blah. A perfect example, somebody was not happy in their position, their job, an employee of the Board of Education. Felt comfortable and pulled me aside, started telling me the problem. I stood there and I listened. And then I said to that person, okay, I understand your concerns. You know I'm going right to the superintendent and tell the superintendent that this is the conversation that was had, which was pretty much one way. Made the superintendent aware that there was a situation, and then the superintendent took it and brought it to the board. But we would always say, I would always listen and then say, I need to bring this to the board's attention. Not, well, we're going to do this, we might do that. No, no, no. That gets you into dangerous waters. Trust me, been in them a couple of times. I am bringing it to the board. I will see what I can do. I will call Selectman Zioli. I will this, I will that. And that gets put out to the entire Board of Selectmen, not just one person who, I understand why you might want to engage someone or say something to them, Mitch, or whatever, but quite frankly, when I first started, I couldn't understand why people would come up to the podium and say that I spoke to such and such board member, and I'm sitting here thinking, what did the board member say? When there was something on the table to discuss. So, for me, this is necessary, given the environment we're in right now, with the information just flying in and out. I think we should take a good, hard look at this, and because it'll protect all of us, and it will protect the people that we represent. That's what I think.
Okay. No, I was curious, since you were the Board of Education for so long, and this comes from them, that's why I asked you for your
I
thoughts on
can't
it.
tell you how many times that the Board of Education fell back on this with any given situation, and we were damn happy to have it there. Because it gives everyone their roles and responsibilities to each other and to the public.
Now, did you answer, say somebody did send an email to the entire group, the entire board? Would most of the response be something along the lines of, your email has been received, thank you very much, is my short version
It
of
could
that?
be.
Or you didn't
it-
even, or you
it
didn't
could-
even do that?
It could be as simple as that, or generally speaking, an email like that, a lot of times the superintendent would make note that it was received, or I would make note that it was received. Or if it was to the whole board, and it was.
That's what I mean. If it
Generally
was in a
speaking,
whole
when
board
that happens,
situation.
sometimes it's, and that could be part of this policy, you could just click, receive, thank you we will discuss. Something as simple as that. We would do that, or members could do that, but they would never got engaged in a conversation, a structural conversation about that, especially through emails.
Yeah, okay.
So, and let me just dovetail, sorry, PJ, just a quick question
all
to
right, we'll
Bill,
have
because
time.
I'm curious on this. So in that situation, if at the time when you were the board member, were those emails shared at the time of your meeting and there was a discussion on them? Or is that something?
It depended upon the topic. Sometimes you just get an email out of the blue, somebody, something
Yeah.
comes up. Other times, especially during COVID. During COVID, we got a lot of stuff
Yeah, we
like
did
that.
too.
And we had to answer as a group, and typically the questions were coming, a couple of days prior to a meeting, especially during COVID. And, yes, it'll be, like I said, sometimes it would be the superintendent, sometimes it would be me, or a board member, but it was collective. Yes, this will be discussed, it's on the agenda, da-da-da-da-da, but yeah.
Okay.
I do think all the emails should be responded to, whether it's message received, we'll discuss it at the next meeting. In some capacity, they all need to be responded to. I'm looking at two high-character guys having a very spirited conversation about this. Do we want to maybe consider like having a procedural committee put together, using this as a template, something that we could put forward going forward? That makes sense for all of
Well,
us, to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be
I
doing.
think that what we're seeing is times have changed from all the years. I mean, Mitch and I are the longest two serving here, and things from what they were to what they are, times have changed a lot. And the way people, it's kind of, I was talking to Nate the other day, something about a telephone, and I said, I always remember, I said, we just had the phone on the wall in the kitchen at our house, and he's like, you had a phone on the wall? He couldn't understand having a phone in the kitchen on the wall. What do you mean?
Where'd you plug it in?
And yeah, didn't understand that at all. And nowadays, how many people still have a phone on the wall in their kitchen? Not too many, I don't think.
There's one at 219.
Great. So times have changed. Technology has changed. With that brings changes that we need to look at and consider, and sometimes you address them, and sometimes it's not something that falls to us, but you at least have to consider it. But with the way of technology and social media, it kind of even goes to the reason why we voted on a contract for an electronics recycler, because of the amount of burnt-out electronics we get in the container down at the transfer station. 30 years ago, what do you need that for? You had one piece occasionally. So times have changed, and I think probably, it obviously isn't going to make Mitch happy on all fronts, but Mitch will survive it, and it won't make others all happy on some front, but it's a guideline that in this day and age probably should at least be considered. I think that we should ask the attorney to start to develop a guideline, and then we could have a session separate from this meeting. I can, make it a smaller group, or you could all be there if that's what you so choose. Just to, go ahead.
If I could, I kind of like
Stuttering,
peaching.
so I better let you in.
Look, this board has the ability to adopt bylaws with respect to the conduct of town business. I'm happy to help, but it's really a policy decision amongst the board, so perhaps it's an ad hoc committee that I will assist with, but yeah, I don't know what's inside your guys' head and what you want.
Well, we need you
so.
to assist for the legal. aspect
Right,
of it.
but coming up with a first read draft for you guys would just be what, Owen Weaver's thoughts are, and I'm not an elected official, so.
No emails.
All right, so that.
Right, no email, exactly.
I will,
Very short.
I will, we're not taking any action on this tonight, other than the fact that we all understand that while we all have feelings about it, it needs to be considered in some way, shape, or form. And all of us have, viable thoughts as to this whole thing. Huh, never thought I'd be the one who's in the best seat since I don't answer emails. But now that ship has sailed, so I think I'll come up with something on this. I'll reach out to all of you, and we'll get together and
Can I interject for a second?
of course,
Is
my
it- is it a
gears
s-
are turning, so go ahead.
I know. It is, and this, Owen, if you can help me out, is the distinction, if it has anything to do with the town, policy, agenda, things that we are potentially discussing, if it's just a communication about those things, is it not as simple as we can't have that conversation directed to the Board of Selectmen as a whole? And you send a universal email. Like, I understand Mitch's point, like, there's no doubt people reach out to us. Hey, how you doing? How's things going? Yeah, things are great. I love being on the board. Right? And simple as that, that's easy. But when somebody pries, well, what's the issue about the cameras? I can't talk about the cameras. It's an agenda item. Or if it's, about policy of the town, I can't talk about it. Come to our Board of Selectmen meeting. I mean, we love it when people come. Generally, there's, less than you guys out there, so we appreciate when you come.
Can I give perspective for this?
No, unfortunately, you can't right now.
Not yet.
But I want to hear from the public on it too, but unfortunately, you
I'll
can't.
call you up when there's ready.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be the easiest way, and let me be clear, I'm not suggesting that you guys can't communicate with the public. I mean, I agree with some of
Yeah,
Mitch's comments.
sure.
And the public has a right to petition the government.
Yes.
There's actually no corresponding obligation to respond to the public under the First Amendment in the state constitution, but they have a right to petition, whether that's in person or written. With respect to an agenda item, that might be the best course of action, that if it's on, once the agenda is published and it's on, if the email is received, it should be disseminated to the whole board. I mean, the real concern is not what you guys are doing, because I don't think any of you are nefarious, right? It's what's the perception of the public? And if the public is perceiving the response as being on behalf of the board, again, none of you have that authority to speak on behalf of the board.
Right.
So,
All right,
Just want
go
to,
ahead.
just to try and give an example of things that can happen or don't happen, let's just talk about tonight's meeting. We've heard from people in the past, whether at the podium, via people talking to me at the door, or somewhere in the street, or wherever, about this veterans tax exemption. So I don't recall whether particular people wrote to the whole board or not, but I know I reached out to at least two people that I know were interested in this, and I wrote, please note that item 4 under new business on this Wednesday's Board of Selectmen meeting is to, quote, consider an act on a veterans tax exemption. Meeting begins at 7 PM in the lower level of Town Hall. Hope you can make it. Is there anything, and I didn't send it to the whole board, because I didn't feel it was appropriate to get the whole board involved. I just was letting the people know that it contacted me, whether it was by group or by individual, to let them know, this is when it's coming up. Tonight's the night. If you want to be here and speak to it, and some of them people were here and spoke to it, some of them didn't show up for whatever reason, at least they knew. We also all got the email, I think it was, well, I can see, it was yesterday, Jim referred to this, I'm not going to mention the person's name. Jim referred to this earlier. I wrote to that person, thank you for indicating your support for the veterans' tax exemption. Now, because the question was a little bit muddied, I wrote, I expect to fully understand the impact of this exemption tomorrow evening as we learn about the details and who will be eligible. So those are my responses. I'm not holding anything back. You can read my responses. You can FOI my responses. I don't see anything wrong. In fact, I think that is, if I can pat myself on the back, good constituent service as an elected representative of this town. I mean, if you wrote to your congressman and got nothing back, would you vote for that congressman again? If you wrote to somebody on a specific issue to your state representative and all they wrote back was received, is that a state representative you want to vote for? I look at all of us as people that want to be on this table. We don't get appointed. We don't get ordained. We don't get birthed into this. We get elected. And constituent service is part of that. It doesn't end when the election polls end, and you sit back and you have to wait 2 more years and hope that people think you did a good job at this meeting. There's more to being a Board of Selectmen member than being at this table. A lot of it has to do with this table, because this is the only official action that takes place is at this table. But all the other days in between, we are still elected representatives. And I still want to represent the people that put me there, those that voted for me, those that didn't vote for me, those that never voted at all. Those people who are new to the town, people who have left the town. I still feel responsibility, and I plan and hope to be able to continue to communicate fully with all those people. Thank you.
Oh, do you mind? I understand what you're saying, but then this is why we need policy, because who's deciding where that line is? Okay, it's a casual conversation in my mind, but maybe not in PJ's mind. Who's deciding that? It's not the board, it's that individual, you, me, or whomever the conversation's with. So that's why you need the policy. That's why we're discussing this, because there's the gray areas where we all get ourselves in trouble. And do you understand what I'm saying?
I do and I don't, because you're saying it gets us in trouble.
Oh, it could.
I'm not sure with all the discussion here tonight that anybody at this table has been in trouble. In fact, yes, people have come to the podium and said, I spoke to so-and-so. A lot of them say they spoke to Jim Zioli. I don't know what they spoke to Jim Zioli about. He's the first selectman. He's here, you know, he's here in town hall. He's a full-time employee. A lot of people come in and see the first selectman. I don't know what they spoke about in the meeting when they come to see Jim, but when he's at this table, he's one of the 6 of us. All right? Any more so if somebody will get, but no one has come up here, I don't think yet, who said, you said, either Jim or me or Pete, any one of us has said, you said the board will do this, how come you're not doing it? I don't think any of us, I think we're all smart people. We don't promise people that that this will happen. You know, we promise them they'll get their day in court, which is right here, and they can speak to us either via email, phone call. Not everybody can come out to these meetings. I mean, some people can't get to a meeting at night for whatever reason. There's lots of reasons. Some people don't want to come out, don't want to be seen on TV, but they do want to communicate with us. And their opinions are valuable.
And that's the part right there where then it has to be, whether they email town hall, which is what they do a lot, or call. And generally, I try to, if it's something that needs to go to the board as a whole, we will then, or at some point as something evolves. So I think that has to be determined a little bit. I think that I will probably put a couple of you together. I haven't decided who, what, where, and when yet to work on this policy. You have a template here, a map, as John called it, from the Orange Board of Education, and I think it can go from that. With that, I'm going to ask that man, he wanted to give a comment, and I'm going to allow, not you yet, you stay back there. But you, yes, you first. You'll be second, sir. Oh, boy.
Oh, gosh, that's tough.
I have a tendency to stay away from politics, anything at all, right? I've been at this I believe the last 2 meetings.
Yes.
because it's something that greatly affects me personally. Now, for the process of that, I'm of the age where I remember the phone on the wall. But I've also, in my experience, I like the face-to-face. I like to read people's body language to make sure that I have you. And that tone that can be lost through text or email, that I get that from a human being. So for the veteran thing, when the legislation first came out, I came to the tax office. I don't want to be in front of TV, but I stand for principle things. I come to the tax office to handle whatever it is that I'm there to address. I don't care about who's in office. I don't care about politics. But I'm bombarded by that when I go to the tax office. Fine. I'm courteous, respectful. I'll entertain it, but I have business that is regardless of my political party. Now, I looked at the clock. This has been going on for 30 minutes.
That's why I'm heading it down now.
And I understand the perception of being unbiased or unprejudiced when you make decisions at this table. If I go to the town office to conduct my business, and I'm told, in whether it be the building, whether it be taxes, wherever it may be, and I'm told that it will be addressed at a town board meeting, the selectmen meeting, right? And nothing comes of it. And then nothing comes of it. I go back, follow up. Oh, but talking, my wife talks to this lady and this husband. We're at the mailbox. I'm talking to that guy. Oh, you have to go. Yeah, that's a policy, but you have to get it on public record. So how do I get it on public record? You got to reach out to one of the selectmen. Oh, there we go. Now, if I see one of you guys in town, I will discuss it. I don't expect an answer, to your point. I'm also of the age is, I'll give you some time. You're busy. I'll give you a couple business days. That's how it's always been in my professional life. Give you a couple days to respond. But having a standard, generic, sort of united front, it reminds me of picking up the phone. And I deal with this at the VA. Press 1 for this number.
Oh.
Press 2 for this number. Press 3 for this number. Oh, if you know the party's extension, put in the extension. So then I find my notes that I make, because I write notes now. I like the notes. So I flip through my book, and I find the extension for that person or that department, and I put it in the phone. And guess what happens? The government decided 6 or 8 months ago to change the phone system. So now I'm going back through this thing. And I'm not saying you have to lay earth your opinions about a topic, but responding to constituents is a big thing for me. It drives me absolutely insane that I take the time to reach out or communicate to someone. You don't have the respect as a human being to reply. Hey, listen, this is what we have. This is how you address it. However it may be, to protect yourself and shield yourself, there is an element and there's a humanity to it.
No, I think that's what was
You can-
discovered here. They can respond.
You can respond
Yes, we've heard.
without giving an answer.
That's
because there's other things that I've reached out to people, not for this, but business, whatever it may be, and you get a response from someone, and it has to go to a board or a committee.
Somebody.
And they sell you the world. And then when it comes time for the decision, that's not how it is. So
Well, that's why they can't give you the answer, because it got to go to the whole board for that.
What I'm saying
answer.
for constituents, again, I don't like politics. It makes me nervous. It makes me shaky.
Don't get nervous.
Like it just one of those things. I just don't like it. But as a citizen, no matter where it is, whether it's local or to the national level, even if I run into you at the dump, we're constituents. Some of us have an understanding that there is time it requires. But your constituents are mindful of who you are, believe it or not. Old, young, and indifferent.
I think that's what they understood. Acknowledge, but don't, there's a line. You have to be careful where that line falls. That's all.
That's all I wanted to put, is the perspective of a unified front becomes a generic, press 1 for this, press 1 for that, for a lot of people. People don't want that. They want a genuine a response, even if it's blank. They want a genuine response from the individual, not an automated system. That's my only concern. Is even with the veteran bill, to this point, to get where it was, this was a year and a half in the making. and get laughed at in the town office, like, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. So to sit and see this, where what I envision and what I've experienced to this point is a shrinking of communication to the constituencies, which is going to cause even more confusion when it comes to certain things. There's guidelines, I get it, but let's not shut off the people in the community. Find a way to find a way to respond to me, even if it's generic and it's personal.
I couldn't agree with you more.
This is not Hartford. This isn't Stafford.
No.
This is Orange.
This
It's
is Orange.
small.
And that's why in this board, 99.9% of everything we do and vote on is in favor of the best interests of the town of Orange.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. So I hear you. And listen, I respect Mitch and I know he respects me. We have a difference of how we respond via email. We will figure this out. It's okay. Don't you ever worry about that. You're in great hands with this board, no doubt.
That's the only, like I said, that's the only concern.
Yep.
Is going generic united it feels disingenuous. That's all.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sir.
thank you. Yes, sir, do you still want to speak? Absolutely. Yeah, I know. Oh, boy. Do you know him? Oh, come on.
How are you?
The grin.
Good evening, everybody. Mike Dolan, resident of this wonderful town. First off, I want to thank all you guys, Democrats, Republicans, it doesn't matter. You're doing a great job with the schools. I got 2 young ones myself, and I love it. All right, so you're doing a great job. With that said, I want to touch base and pick up where Mr. Colangelo, right? Colangelo, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Where he left off was that we do need transparency. And one of the things that, I noticed during this election, everybody's talking about transparency. Now we're here and we're putting it out there, and you guys are arguing about it. So something I like to say, and I think, where people are missing the point is, where you're picking up is we're talking about town business, that you don't want to have private discussions about. Excuse me. For example, Mrs. Yoli. I never knew Big Y was going in until the day of. You guys signed non-disclosure agreements, right? If one of you guys are talking to your constituents about an issue going on, we're liable.
True.
We could get sued as a town. And I think, in my opinion, right, we all have a type of etiquette that we have to carry. You have to wear 2 hats, all you guys. 1 hat personal, 1 hat business, when you're sitting here. There's a way to respond. You can respond, but not bring up board business and have discussions. And have discussions outside of that. So I like the transparency. I think it's great. I think you should expand it to social media so that, people are accountable.
You're on camera right now.
I mean, I know I am. I'm just saying, when you're on your personal accounts, you're representing us. So you can't mix the two. You gotta be personal, and here you gotta put on a different hat when you sit down and make these decisions. And I think you guys are doing a great job. I think we gotta get together and we gotta ice this out, because it's great. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I think at this point, there's probably enough discussion on it. I'll decide who's going to get together here to start to develop something here. And I don't think it'll be as restrictive as maybe thought in some ways, and in other ways, it may bring things to light. And I think it'll be something that, as I said earlier, needs to be considered because of, like I said, going from that phone on the wall to now the phone mine sitting here on the table. So, I mean, technology has changed and our lives have changed and demands on lives have changed. So with that said, I'm going to close that item for now. Now, we need to get a motion to close the regular meeting, to convene an executive session. We'll be discussing 2 items. One is a blight lien foreclosure, one is a tax appeal versus the town. We may come out of it, we will come out of executive session, go back into public session and possibly vote on those or take action on those. So it will be this board at the table and invite Attorney Owen Weaver in since they're both his topics. And with that said, is there a motion to go into executive session? Do you want a couple-minute break in between or not? Okay, we're going into executive session at, it looks like 8:40. Okay, good evening, and we are back in regular session. Came out of executive session. We had two items to discuss. One was a blight lien foreclosure, one was a tax appeal settlement. Those we have done. Is there any discussion to be had on those and a vote?
If there's no discussion on the Town of Orange versus Brian Goldstone, the blight matter, I'd ask for a motion to approve the settlement with TD Bank, and give the First Selectman's Office authority to enter into a written agreement memorializing the settlement as presented to the Selectmen.
Motion approved as presented by our town attorney.
Second.
The second issue was all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. The second item is a tax appeal between Colonial Building Associates and the Town of Orange.
Same thing, if there's no discussion, I'd ask one of the members to make a motion to approve the proposed settlement between Colonial Building Associates and the Town of Orange in the pending tax appeal.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous.
Thank you.
With that said, is there any more business to come before us? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn at 9:12?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.